let's continue along, shall we? Oregon's going into the Big Ten, and Dan Lanning is making some waves. I have a sense, just kind of a growing gut feeling, not just from, reading pieces on the interwebs and commentary about Lanning and the way he's recruiting, but I just think about what it would be like if there was a team new to our league and our conference was still around, RIP Pac-12, and that school came in and started beating out the school that I'm rooting for a bunch of big-time recruits. That would kind of rub me the wrong way. It would irk me at the very least a little bit. So if you're Ohio State and Michigan who are going after a guy like Jordan Davison, or if you're also Ohio State and you were going after Dorian Brew and you thought you had him and then it kind of flipped. At some point, it just has to be a little jab, just a little poke. Like at the end of Iron Man 2, when the senator, spoiler alert, who is actually an agent of Hydra, is putting the pin on Rhodey and Tony for their work in the battle to defeat Whiplash, and he puts the pin on Tony Stark, who he doesn't like because Tony Stark, embarrassed him in public, and he pokes his body. And, ow! Oh, sorry. Funny how annoying a little prick can be. That kind of feels like Oregon right now. It's like, man, these guys used to be we didn't have to compete for those guys as hard. And now we got to go against Oregon all the time. So Dan Lanning is making, I think, a pretty sizable statement on the recruiting trail. Not just that they're here now in 2024, because everybody seems to understand that pretty universally. But the other component to this is a very clear message of we're not going anywhere. This is a Tier 1 Big Ten program in 2024 and every year for the foreseeable future. Josh Pate, I had multiple people send me the clip, which I heard because I listened to Josh's show. I think he does a fantastic job, and he's a great listen to get you ready for the college football season. So is this guy who hosts Locked On College Football. Just check him out. So I was listening, and he was talking about Dan Lanning. And a point he made incredibly well was that Lanning has been a head coach for 2 seasons. Two seasons, not 3 seasons. He's going into his 3rd year. He's been a head coach for 2 seasons. He's 22-5. I don't remember if Josh mentioned this, but he has not lost to an unranked team. Lost to highly ranked Georgia. Lost to Washington 3 times. They're ranked every single time. Lost to Oregon State. And Oregon State was ranked in that game as well. So what Pate correctly pointed out was that we have not yet seen the best of Dan Lanning as a coach. We've seen a lot of encouraging signs. But this isn't a guy like Mario Cristobal, for instance, who had been a head coach previously. He'd been a coordinator before. It is a whole new world, and yes, I'm referencing the Aladdin song right there. It is a whole new world when you are the head guy, and you get to determine, do we go for it? Do we kick? Do we call this fake punt? Do we do this onside kick? Do we do that? Those are just the small responsibilities that are, of course, very important on game days that we see and know about, but it's a whole other undertaking, especially in today's world behind the scenes. And Josh's point is that, Pate's point, we're not on a first name basis, not yet, maybe one day. Pate's point is that Lanning is going to continue to improve because coaches traditionally over time, the longer they stay at a place and as their careers get longer, they get a lot better. And the pushback against Dan Lanning is, I even see this every now and then in the comment section from Oregon fans. Well, he needs to win a big game. He hasn't won a big game. I mean, first of all, patently false that he has not won a big game. And secondly, he's in his 2nd year. What is the standard? What is the timeline for a coach to win a conference championship per se that leads you to believe, yeah, this guy can be a good head coach? Because Nick Saban in his first year at Alabama lost to Louisiana Monroe. Not Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns, who, have had a respectable, I think, Sun Belt football program for quite a while. No. Like the place where Billy Napier was before he got to Florida, and Billy Napier is going to be fired after, not this season, next season, just in case you were curious. Maybe you weren't, now you know. Anyway, he lost to Louisiana Monroe. at Alabama in year one. Can you imagine the message board crowd today if a coach at an institution like that lost to Louisiana Monroe? This is unacceptable. You can't judge a book by its cover or a coach by his first and second years. Sometimes coaches pop because one comparison that Lanning is always going to draw, any Oregon coach is going to draw, is Chip Kelly. Because Chip came in and started guns wait a minute. Yeah, I know that Oregon won the Pac-10 in his first season. That's great. What was Chip's first game again? Dave Chappelle, let me put my thinking cap on. I gotta think. Oh, yeah, that's right. They scored one touchdown, and then LeGarrette Blount punched a guy. That's how his coaching career began. Do you think there were any overreacting Oregon fans at the time that said, oh my gosh, he's lost control, he doesn't know, things are spiraling? I think it worked out. I think it worked out pretty darn well. And so the point that I'm making here is Lanning got better from year one to year two. Do you think he can get better year two to year three? I know that he can. Oregon lost one regular season game last year. They could lose 0 this year. So just record-wise, you could have improvement. But as a head coach, he went toe-to-toe with one of the best in college football and has one of the best coaching win percentages in recent memory, and he wasn't able to beat that guy. Well, maybe one day he'd be able to, because Kirby Smart didn't beat Nick Saban in his first go-round either. Kirby Smart, when do you think Kirby Smart became the head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs? That's the best coach in college football. Think about that. Anybody could say, not necessarily would, but anybody could reasonably argue, and I would, that Kirby Smart is the best coach in all of college football. The very best one. He's got the best program. He recruits at the highest level. He's won 2 national championships. He wins the most games and everything. What year do you think Kirby Smart took over? Yeah, he became the head coach in Athens in 2016. 2016. He didn't win a national championship till 2021. He didn't reach a national championship game till his third season. Beg your pardon. He reached it in his second season, and then he didn't reach it for any of the next 3 years. 3 consecutive years. We're talking about 5 seasons came and went, and Georgia didn't win a national championship, and now he's the best coach in college football. Jim Harbaugh got to Michigan sometime in the middle 2010s or so. This stuff can take some time to fester, to brew. You got to have a recruiting identity. You got to have a coaching identity. There are all sorts of elements to how you identify with players that are recruits and players who are on your team. Jim Harbaugh got to Michigan in 2015. He didn't win the national championship till this past season. Is he any good? I don't know when Dan Lanning wins a national championship at Oregon. I can't even guarantee to you that he does. The point that was correctly made on Pate's show is that we haven't seen the best of Dan Lanning. This is not the ceiling. This is not the best he has to offer. This is the best that he's done so far. But guys tend to get better and better and better. I think about many things in terms of golf analogies. Guys who come on the PGA Tour and can win PGA Tour events oftentimes don't win a major or even contend in a major for many years. Max Homa is a great example. Max Homa got on the PGA Tour quite a while ago, lost his tour status, had to go fight and win it back on the Korn Ferry Tour, and then got up and he's won on the PGA Tour several times. He's contended in a major one time. That's not going to be the case for his career. He will contend at other majors, but it takes a second. You got to let these things brew. So the best of Dan Lanning is still to come. And as Oregon goes into the Big Ten, I have no expectation that he will do anything except keep them as a Tier 1 program. You had 18 teams. I think you can readily and easily put 6 teams into each of those and say, yeah, you got your conference title contenders, you got teams knocking on the door that can do it every now and then, and you got bottom dwellers. And I expect Oregon to be a Tier 1 team and a Tier 1 program year in and year out, so long as Dan Lanning is at the helm. Love that clip. Thanks for sending it in. We got a mailbag question to get to. Speaking of the Big Ten, can Oregon hang with that style? Can they match the physicality? I got pop culture references coming out my ears, and I'll give you another one right after this.